Part 1. Diagnosing Loneliness, Curse or Blessing. Welcome to Shadow Psychology. You stand at the threshold of one of modernity's greatest paradoxes. In an age of unprecedented connectivity, loneliness has become the silent epidemic of the soul. You scroll through endless feeds of social validation, attend crowded events, maintain countless superficial connections, yet that gnawing emptiness persists. Society has taught you to fear this feeling, to treat it as a personal failure, a sign of being unlovable or inadequate. You've been programmed to believe that loneliness is a problem to be solved, a void to be filled with external validation and constant distraction. Today, we initiate a dangerous rebellion against this herd mentality. We will perform a philosophical autopsy on loneliness itself, dissecting it through the razor-sharp lens of Friedrich Nietzsche's psychology. What if everything you've been told about loneliness is wrong? What if this feeling isn't a curse, but rather the universe's way of inviting you to the most important meeting you'll ever attend, a meeting with your true self? The common man flees from loneliness because he cannot bear the company he finds when alone with himself. He is a stranger in his own mind, and so he seeks constant external noise to drown out the terrifying silence of his own being. But the sovereign individual understands a profound truth. Loneliness is not the absence of others, but the absence of yourself. It is the signal that you have been living externally, seeking your identity in the reflections of other people's opinions, rather than discovering it within the depths of your own consciousness. The first step in this transformation is to understand the crucial distinction between two fundamentally different states: forced loneliness and chosen solitude. Forced loneliness is what you experience when you feel disconnected against your will, when social bonds break, when you're physically isolated, when you feel misunderstood and unseen. This is the loneliness that hurts, that makes you feel like a ghost in the machine of society. Chosen solitude, however, is something entirely different. It is the conscious, willed decision to withdraw from the herd's constant chatter in order to hear the whisper of your own soul. Nietzsche identified this as the essential precondition for all genuine philosophy and self-discovery. The herd, that vast amorphous entity of social consensus, fears nothing more than individuals who learn to enjoy their own company. Why? Because such individuals become unpredictable, uncontrollable, and ultimately unstoppable. They cease to need the validation that the herd uses to manipulate its members. Your feeling of loneliness, therefore, might be the most important signal you will ever receive, an invitation to stop being an echo and become a voice. Let's diagnose the specific quality of your loneliness. When you feel that familiar ache of isolation, ask yourself this Nietzschean question: am I lonely because I miss specific people, or because I'm missing myself? In most cases, you'll discover it's the latter. You've become so accustomed to defining yourself through others' eyes that in their absence, you feel like you're disappearing. This is what Nietzsche meant when he wrote about the herd instinct, the unconscious drive to seek safety in numbers, to outsource your thinking to the collective, to avoid the terrifying responsibility of creating your own values. The modern world has weaponized this instinct against you. Social media, corporate culture, entertainment, all designed to keep you constantly connected and therefore constantly avoiding yourself. Your smartphone is the perfect herd instrument. It gives you the illusion of connection while ensuring you never have to face the profound opportunity that genuine solitude offers. The pain of loneliness, then, is not the pain of being alone. It is the pain of being unfamiliar with the magnificent consciousness you carry within you. It is the growing pain of a soul that is ready to outgrow its dependency on external validation. This diagnosis is not meant to condemn you, but to liberate you. By understanding loneliness as a signal rather than a sentence, you reclaim your power. The void you feel is not empty, it is pregnant with potential. It is the sacred space where your authentic self awaits discovery. The common man medicates his loneliness with noise and distraction. The sovereign individual recognizes it as the call to adventure, the beginning of the hero's journey inward. This is the end of the beginning, the moment you stop running from your own company and start cultivating it as the most valuable relationship you will ever have. The herd fears nothing more than a man who enjoys his own mind. If you're ready to transform loneliness from a weakness into your greatest advantage, subscribe now. The most dangerous forms of freedom begin when you learn to be your own best company. Part 2. The Alchemy of Solitude, Transforming Emptiness into Power. The emptiness you feel is not a void, but raw, unrefined power. The common man flees this feeling, seeking any external noise to drown out the silence of his own being. The sovereign individual, however, stands firm, recognizing this solitude as the ultimate forge for the soul. This is where we move from passive diagnosis to active alchemy, transforming the lead of loneliness into the gold of unshakable self-sufficiency. The methodology is energetic transmutation. When the familiar ache of isolation surfaces, your first instinct must not be to reach for a screen or seek company, but to courageously sit with the discomfort. Locate the physical sensation, the tightness in your chest, the hollow in your stomach, the restless energy in your limbs. Breathe into it deeply. Visualize this feeling not as a lack or a deficiency, but as a dense, concentrated potential, a storm of unclaimed creative energy waiting for a master to direct it. You are not feeling lonely. You are making contact with the primal, undistracted force of your own consciousness, an energy the herd constantly teaches you to fear and avoid, because a man who is comfortable with his own mind becomes ungovernable. This is where your will to power becomes your most essential tool, not as a desire to dominate others, but as the relentless drive to achieve complete mastery over your internal state. You must command your inner space with the authority of a king. That very silence you once feared is now your most valuable asset. Fill it not with passive consumption, but with deliberate, demanding creation. Read a complex philosophical text that forces your mind to stretch. Write a manifesto of your own values, declaring your personal philosophy to the empty page. Practice a physical or mental skill with such intense focus that you enter a state of flow, losing all sense of time and external need. The goal is not merely to pass the time, but to build, brick by intellectual brick, an impregnable fortress of the self. Your solitude is the forge, your focused will is the hammer, and every moment of chosen discipline is a strike that tempers your spirit. You are no longer waiting for an external source of validation or entertainment. You are generating your own gravity, becoming a sun in your own solar system. This is the fundamental alchemical shift. Loneliness was merely the unprocessed ore, and through your conscious, willed action, you are smelting it into sovereign power. The weak need constant company to feel real. The alchemist needs only a quiet room, a disciplined mind, and the unwavering will to transform silence into unbreakable strength. If you're not just reading these words but actively practicing this mental pivot, you will feel the internal shift beginning, a movement from emptiness to potency. This is just the second furnace in a much larger forge. If you're ready to move from wielding the hammer to architecting the entire fortress, you know what to do. Subscribe. The most dangerous transformations are never undertaken alone. Part 3. Beyond relationships, becoming your own best company. You have learned to sit with the silence and transmute its energy. Now we advance to the core of sovereign solitude, the art of becoming the only company you truly need. This is not about rejecting others, but about achieving a state of complete self-intimacy where your relationship with yourself is so rich and dynamic that all other connections become a matter of choice, not need. The herd operates from a place of lack, forming bonds based on dependency and the fear of being alone with their own shallow minds. Your journey is to become so complete in yourself that every interaction is an overflow of your abundance, not a desperate attempt to fill your voids. The practice begins with cultivating internal dialogue. Most people's inner world is a chaotic battlefield of random thoughts, regrets, and anxieties. You must transform this into a sacred symposium. Engage in deliberate, structured conversations with yourself. Pose a difficult philosophical question in the morning and wrestle with it throughout the day. Challenge your own beliefs with the rigor of a worthy opponent. Write down your thoughts, not as a diary of complaints, but as a log of intellectual and spiritual development. This practice builds a profound self-familiarity. You are no longer a stranger to yourself, but a fascinating, ever-deepening companion. The next stage is the development of self-sufficiency in all emotional domains. When you feel a surge of joy, learn to savor it fully without immediately needing to share it to validate its existence. When grief or anger arises, develop the capacity to hold it, understand it, and let it pass through you without requiring another person to process it for you. This is emotional sovereignty, the ability to be the source of your own validation and the master of your own emotional states. It is the realization that you are the only constant in your life, and making that constant a source of strength and wisdom rather than a burden to be escaped. From this foundation, you can begin the practice of conscious relationship building. From a position of fullness, you now relate to others not from need, but from want. You choose connections that are additive, that challenge and inspire you, rather than those that simply placate your loneliness. Your conversations shift from gossip and small talk to exchanges of substance and meaning. You attract individuals who are on a similar path of self-mastery because the energy you now radiate is one of purpose and self-containment. The final mastery is in embracing the creative power of aloneness. Every great work of art, philosophy, and science was born from a mind that could endure and even cherish prolonged periods of deep solitude. This is where you tap into the source of your unique genius. Your sovereign solitude is no longer a state of being alone. It is the workshop of your destiny. You are not missing out on the world. You are building a new one from the inside out. The crowd seeks to lose itself in the collective. The sovereign individual finds the universe within. If you can feel the truth of this, you are ready for the final stage. The blueprint for your unbreakable identity is waiting. Don't get left behind in the noise of the herd. Part 4. The higher perspective, loneliness as philosophical advantage. The transformation is nearly complete. You have moved from seeing loneliness as a curse to wielding solitude as a tool, and from there to building a profound self-intimacy. Now we ascend to the final vantage point, recognizing your solitude not merely as a personal state, but as a strategic, philosophical advantage. This is the shift from alchemy to architecture, where you stop just managing your inner world and start leveraging it to see the world with unparalleled clarity. The herd lives in a fog of consensus, its perceptions shaped by social media trends, peer pressure, and the unexamined dogma of the crowd. You, in your sovereign solitude, have stepped outside the fog. You are now an observer in the truest sense, and this position grants you what Nietzsche called the view from the heights, the perspective of the eagle who sees the entire landscape, while those below are lost in the trees. This clarity is your ultimate weapon. From this detached vantage point, the hidden structures of society become visible. You see the psychological manipulations of advertising, the empty rituals of status seeking, and the fragile underpinnings of social hierarchies for what they are. Games played by those who are afraid to be alone with themselves. Your solitude has immunized you against the most potent tool of control, the fear of social exclusion. When you no longer crave belonging as a primary need, you become impossibly difficult to manipulate. This is the foundation of true critical thinking. Your mind, uncluttered by the constant need to conform, can analyze information based on its own merit, not its popularity. You can hold unpopular opinions, pursue unconventional paths, and question sacred cows not out of rebellion, but from a place of genuine independent inquiry. This higher perspective transforms your entire mode of operation. You begin to practice what can be called strategic engagement. You no longer drift into relationships or social situations out of habit or loneliness. You choose them with the discernment of a strategist, investing your time and energy only in connections and endeavors that align with your purpose and values. Your solitude becomes the quiet council chamber where you plan your moves, free from the chatter of outside opinion. The time you once spent on idle socialization is now allocated to deep work, skill acquisition, and strategic planning. You are no longer a passive participant in life. You are its author, its architect, and its primary beneficiary. The weak fear isolation because it forces them to confront their own emptiness. You have filled that space with a purpose so potent that it radiates outward, attracting opportunities and alliances that serve your mission. Your loneliness has been transfigured. It is no longer a feeling, but a position, a command post from which you oversee the battlefield of your own destiny, making calculated decisions that propel you toward a future of your own design. This is the final transmutation. The journey concludes not with finding yourself in others, but with others finding a leader, a creator, and a sovereign in you. The path is laid. The final integration awaits those who are ready to claim it. Part 5. The Sovereign's Protocol, the architecture of unbreakable solitude. The philosophical work is complete. You have moved through the fire of transformation, from seeing loneliness as a curse to wielding it as a tool, from building self-intimacy to occupying the strategic heights of the observer. Now, we crystallize this evolution into a permanent architecture. This is no longer about coping with solitude, but about engineering a life where it becomes your greatest strategic advantage, the unshakable foundation of your daily existence. The practice begins with the morning sovereignty declaration. Before your first conscious interaction with the world, you must claim your day. In the first 5 minutes of wakefulness, while your mind is still pliable, declare to yourself, "My solitude is my strength. My own mind is my primary counsel. I will not seek external validation today." This is not a passive affirmation, but an active command that sets the psychological tone for the hours ahead, programming your nervous system for self-containment before the world's demands begin. Throughout your day, implement trigger alchemy. When you feel the old pull of social anxiety or the impulse to check for messages, pause. See this trigger not as a signal of lack, but as a delivery of raw focus. Breathe into the moment and mentally state, "This is energy for my purpose." Redirect that mental bandwidth immediately into a single decisive action that serves your goals. Draft one critical email, complete one set of exercises, write one page of your project. You are transmuting the ghost of neediness into the substance of progress. Your evening integration closes the loop. Spend 10 minutes in reflection, not on what you did with others, but on how you advanced your sovereign project. Where did you act from a place of self-sufficiency? Where did you feel the old dependency? Analyze without judgment, then release the day. This practice solidifies the neural pathways of self-reliance, making them your default setting. This triad of practices, morning declaration, trigger alchemy, evening integration, creates a self-reinforcing system of sovereignty. You are no longer a person who manages loneliness. You are a sovereign individual for whom solitude is the operating system, a clean, powerful, and efficient environment from which you engage the world on your own terms, utterly free from the desperate need for external validation. The transformation is complete. You have not just cured loneliness, you have weaponized it. You are not a survivor of solitude. You are its master. The final key to locking this state into your physiology is consistency. The path is walked daily.